and welcome to The Huddle. I am your host, Hal Cruttenden. This is the show that goes behind the scenes and gets the inside story from the greatest rugby club in the world, and also making fair and balanced comments about some of the other teams in the Premiership. And Exeter lost at home last weekend. Yes! Anyway, for more fair and grown-up comment, my co-host is, of course, the fantastic... He only just made it back from Greece. It's Steve Cummins!
Good afternoon. How are we?
Are we now on that? Yes, good. How have you made... Everybody was talking about you at the game on Sunday. And that's all everybody said was, apparently Steve is stuck in Greece. And it was all, yeah.
We had a somewhat eventful journey home, yeah. I felt a little sorry for the poor EasyJet pilot that made about 6 attempts to land the plane before finally giving up and going to Athens. And then he came back and picked us up on Sunday morning. I did tell him I've got a game to get to.
I thought it was missing... I thought you missed a flight, though.
We nearly missed the flight on the way out. That's a whole different story. But no, our flight home was delayed due to bad weather. So, yeah, about a 30-hour delay coming home.
So this is bad weather. Is it Corfu?
Corfu, yeah.
So all those showy offy pictures you put on social media, oh look, me by the pool, it was all rubbish.
All photoshopped.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew
all photoshopped.
No, I mean there was a little feeling at the ground. I felt on Sunday. People were quite happy to hear that you'd had a tough time coming back because it was quite smug.
Well,
you watching the Bath game, going, this is the best place to watch rugby by the pool. It was unbearable, Steve. But it's nice that you suffered coming back.
Thank you.
Did you see some of the Wasps game?
I did. Yes. Thankfully, my daughter Hannah, who you know, was sat at home dog sitting for us. She had the TV on pause, so we walked in and watched as live. So albeit not at the ground, but yeah, what a cracking display that was.
It was a cracking display, but I also felt it was kind of... I never worried at any point before the game, and I was sitting with my godson, who's a Wasps fan, who was sitting there going, I don't know that player, I've not seen him, I don't know him. It was kind of, they didn't put anything, because Wasps are a very good team, full strength. Yeah. I know they've got loads of injuries, but they did also make it harder for themselves. Did that annoy you slightly? Or just going...
I felt sorry for them, and I didn't mean that in a patronising way. Some of them were introducing themselves to each other on the way out of the tunnel, it seemed. You know, with the loan signings and the people that they drafted in, and then of course to lose another 4 players to injury as well, which only sort of compounds their situation going to Bath next week, I think. But I thought it was a professional performance. Saracens, as you say, bit of a no-win situation. They were expected to do well. They were expected to score points. They were expected to put that team to one side, and I think they used it as an opportunity to breed some good feeling, and they were playing rugby with smiles on their faces, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't know if I said this a couple of weeks ago, but yet again the commentary was full of, you know, Sarries are chucking it about from everywhere, and the commentary's full of, they're so clinical, they're so, they get, they're brutal, it wasn't, they're full of flair, and I just think people have got a stereotype of Saracens in their mind, and they actually don't even break it, even when Max Malins is scoring 4 in the corner.
There are those lazy cliches about Saracens, about forcing you into mistakes. We made plenty of mistakes of our own in trying to play that expansive game and trying to look at the running lines and everybody being a threat and doing things differently. It was a fairly embryonic performance. That wasn't a particularly Saracens performance, but to recognise that we've added that to our game and will look like consistently doing that through the course of the season, absolutely right, it should be complimented. But by the same token, absolutely ruthless when Wasps turn the ball over in their own 22 and we go the length of the field through 10 pairs of hands. You know, I mean, that's clinical.
Exactly. And I think, I mean, well done, Max Malins, but I think maybe spare a thought for Sean Maitland. They never went right with it, did they? It was always left. So when we play Worcester, maybe?
Yes.
Get the ball to Sean. I don't want to be too cocky, but Worcester's the next game we should put 50, 60 on.
Well, let's maybe get Sean Maitland a pair of tights and then see if that makes a difference.
Everybody who wears tights is performing brilliantly.
So it would appear.
OK, well now it's the front row section of the Huddle, where we get the inside story from a very important person here at Saracens. And there is none other more important person. Am I making sense? Is that English? There is no other more important person than the Chief Community Officer, friend of the show, the man with the comedy football name. It's Gordon Banks. Hey!
Thanks for that rather kind introduction, Hal.
No problem, Gordon. Are you well? Is everything good?
I am very well. Yeah, really well, thanks. Yeah, I'm glad I've got the memo on the tops, by the way. That's
yes, excellent. Yeah. We're all, yes. It's so embarrassing when you turn up wearing the same thing, isn't it? We've got some questions from viewers for you before we actually ask about other news from Saracens.
Great.
We've had viewers send in their questions. The first one is, what will be the capacity at Stonex after the West Stand is built?
Okay, good question. So I think we know that the main driver for the West Stand is about improving the overall experience of the stadium. So so there'll be a marginal increase in terms of capacity, but obviously a dramatic increase in terms of the actual impact on match days. So I think we go to about 10,500. I think that's it in terms of capacity. There is a significant improvement in the number of wheelchair spaces in the stadium, which has been an issue. So 40 additional spaces at different heights, which is fantastic for our supporters with mobility issues. They're marginal in terms of capacity. I think really big impact in terms of experience, which is exciting.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, sorry, I'm adding an extra question. I don't even know if I'm allowed to ask this. Is the long-term thing that we do the north and the south as well, and that they become, and we're going to become? Is there a sort of plan? Does everybody else know about this? And I don't, by the way.
There was. Gordon will fill us in, but the grand plan for this space does see more of an evolution from roadways coming through and where the Saracens bus can drop people off to where the athletics track even goes. And obviously relocating the athletics track does give us a huge ability to consider the north and the south. Yeah. COVID obviously and local planning and costings have had a massive effect on the wider plan for Barnet. So I'm sure Gordon will fill us in, but I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. But there's certainly intimation that could be the case.
Steve, you've summed it up perfectly. I need to add very little to that at all. Yeah, there's a long-term master plan for the Copthall site. We're working very closely with Barnet Council and Middlesex University and our athletics partners and others to really enhance the whole site. But no immediate plans in terms of north and south. Yeah, a gradual step-by-step process. Steve, your finger on the pulse as always.
Yeah. Do you want to ask the next question?
I will, yeah. While we're on the subject of the stadium and the facilities, there was a small rumour that emanated on Twitter a little while ago about the playing surface and about whether or not Saracens were reverting back to grass. And obviously with the changing rules and people allowed to wear adequate protective clothing, I think that might put a stop to some of those rumours. But just once and for all, Gordon, are we sticking with the artificial surface?
Yeah, we are. I'm not sure where that rumour came from. I guess there was some media coverage, wasn't
it?
I think there was a bit of media coverage about artificial pitches. I think the truth, some clubs like them, some don't. I think that hasn't really changed. But no, we have no immediate plans to change the artificial pitch.
Fab. Finally, sorry, we had this last time as well. Is there an update about the replica kit delivery?
Yeah, I think Lucy answered that last time, didn't she? Well, I think there is a positive update, and that's that junior and infant shirts, replica shirts, will be available for the London Irish game in the shop. And if you've pre-ordered one of those, they'll arrive before the 6th of November. And we continue to work really hard in terms of adult replica kit to get that in as soon as we can, and we'll have a further update in a couple of weeks. But we're on track in terms of the dates we outlined.
There's a lot of comedy possibility if you do that in sizes. It's kids, junior, then small. Lots of very fat men squeezed into tiny shirts.
I was just about to say women and children first.
Exactly.
But it's good to hear it's on the way. Anyway, that's great.
Yeah,
brilliant. And what other news do you have for us, Gordon, from the club?
So lots, and I'll try and keep it brief. So the showdown, obviously, we're well into now. Exciting plans for the showdown. Obviously, really, we were all very disappointed that got cancelled late last time. So we had a few meetings with Tottenham now, and are well into those plans. So everybody that had purchased a ticket previously, and if you carried forward credit, you'll get a communication in the next couple of weeks to repurchase those tickets. If you're a seasonal member, you'll be contacted very soon to book your tickets and an opportunity to buy some additional discount tickets. If you're neither of those groups, then do go online, register your interest in terms of joining the queue, because then you'll be the first at the end of November when we go on general sale. You'll be the first to hear. So really focused on selling out again and making that an amazing day for the club. So that's exciting. But before that, Women's team obviously flying in the first part of the season, and we've got the duel, the Queen's game at home on the 12th of December, and we're focused on that, on making that a really big day for the women's side, driving a big crowd and really celebrating the history of the women's team and what they've achieved over time. So yeah, the duel, 12th of December. Tickets are on sale now. Go on Saracens.com. So do get online, get those tickets, and let's. We want the biggest crowd for a women's game.
That's the one. That's the one I'm going for, because I can't
absolutely.
make the showdown, so I'm going to the duels, and I think that'll be better, because it'll be a tight game. Because if Bristol remain a bit rubbish, the showdown will be.
They'll both be great.
Randrander will be back.
He will be fit. He'll be fit by then. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, they might have played themselves into a bit of form.
Yeah, but I think
Bristol are too good.
An absolute thrashing. Sorry, but
Bristol are too good. Bristol are too good not to come back. They've got a great squad. So
and they've got a fantastic, passionate travelling support as well, so that will really help the atmosphere, won't it?
Exactly. No, yeah, it should be brilliant. And then before then, we've got London Irish, and I think Hal, you maybe opening sequence mentioned a result last weekend. They're a strong side, aren't they? Away at Exeter, they won't lose too many players to internationals, so that game I think will be a cracker. And then afterwards, we've got our annual fireworks extravaganza, which is always a really good evening, great fireworks display, and a really nice family evening. So if you buy tickets for London Irish, you come in for free, but you can come to the fireworks display if you can't make the game. So yeah, another good day for the club, I think.
Fabulous,
brilliant.
We've also, I was just saying about London Irish. I'm cheering them on last weekend, and then now we have to go. Oh,
then realising that we're due to play them fairly soon.
And they're not losing many, are they? Who are they going to lose to?
I struggle to think of anyone, Gordon. I don't know if anyone springs to mind for you, but I think their squad will be intact.
I have to admit, I've not looked at it in detail, but yeah, off the top of my head, I'm struggling. So, and they were, their forwards played very well, didn't they? Over the ball, very effective. The number 8 is a difficult player. So no, I think that'll be a tough game. One hopefully we will win, but I think it's created a bit of additional interest following the result of the weekend.
Yeah. But even if we don't win, fireworks
afterwards.
Nothing's better than fireworks. That cheers you up if it's a dodgy result. Anyway, it won't be. God, why do I? Terrible at thinking. We also have the Mavericks. The Mavericks. Are back. Their season hasn't started yet. It's just started.
No, so they're in pre-season. So this is their first competitive action this Saturday. So the Fast 5 All Stars at the Copper Box is a bit of a kind of new format. Smaller teams, shorter games, literally fast and furious. All the major teams are there. So first outing really for our players who. And the Maverick squad, who are really excited actually about the season ahead. I think they've been focusing on continuity of their squad. I was listening to Kat Ratnapala talk just the other day. Thinks that they're ahead of where they were last year in terms of preparation, and they're feeling good. So first run out for them. Tickets still available for those who fast5allstars.com at the Copper Box on Saturday. And then Saracens women are also back into action this weekend with their Allianz Cup competition. So a little bit like the Men's Cup, a really good opportunity during the international period for some of the squad players and some of the young talent to come through and get some game time. So we've got a couple of fixtures away, obviously Worcester this weekend, then Loughborough, followed by Sale at home in Exeter. So so a new cup competition, which I think is fantastic for the women's side, a few extra games, which will help the squad develop as the season goes on.
And that's an unusual. It's a two-pool format, isn't it, Gordon? There's 5 and 5 with a bye week, and then winners and runners up going into that semi-final. Yeah, no, it is unusual, but it's quite nice, isn't it? I think it's a couple of home games, a couple away, bye weekend, and then I think almost everybody stays in, throughout. So. No, it's a good format, and as I say, I know the women's side are really looking forward to having that during the international window, where normally then there'd be no rugby for them.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant, fabulous. Well, it's quite a packed It's a packed programme of events, isn't it?
It is.
Fantastic.
It is.
I need to move into a house closer to the ground. Thank you, Gordon, so much for coming on and giving us all this news. You're always fantastic. Thank you. You're probably the best friend of the show. I think he's been on more than anybody else.
I think he's earned that accolade.
That's very kind. And always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Cheers, Gordon.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
And of course, Kat was on the SSA podcast as well. She was talking to the guys. So Katna Ratnapala, the head coach of the Mavericks. So if you wanted to find out a little bit more about the Mavericks and how their season's going to pan out, it might be worth a listen there.
Right. God, you're very good at this, Steve. You know all the info. I don't even read all my emails properly from Saracens. That's why I'm always going, what's happening? What's going on? And there's been an email through. Well, I don't know if anybody realised this, but was this last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks.
The Exeter Sonia Green's 300th game.
3 weeks.
That was 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
The 10th of October.
Why have I forgotten all time? No, that's 2 weeks. That was all right.
3 Sunday, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
2.5.
2.5 weeks. Sorry. Yes, it was Sonia Green. Amazing. The first women's player to reach 300 games.
Absolutely. Well, that we know of, because obviously the record keeping wasn't quite as accurate back in the day when that first started. So apparently they had a little bit of a job researching some of her games from about 20 years ago. but they as accurate as they possibly think that they can be. But yeah, what a phenomenal. It's quite an accolade even for a professional full-time athlete. But when you look at everything else that Sonia's involved with and her work with the school and in education, and to then be able to give that level of commitment to a club like Saracens, just phenomenal.
And they had a little surprise for her, as this VT shows. They popped into her work as vice principal at Saracens School and popped in to give her a commemorative shirt. Let's have a look.
Hi guys, Ben Earl here at the Saracens High School. We're about to surprise Sonic with her 300th shirt. She doesn't know we're coming, so very exciting, and the kids have no idea either, so big celebration for a massive achievement, and not only for her but for the Saracens family, for Saracens women and women's rugby as a whole, so something to really get excited about, and looking forward to it.
So here I am at Stonex after a great training session with the girls, but today was made extra special because in Year 10 assembly this morning I had a big surprise. I had lots of people, very special people, come and present a shirt to me. Everyone from the club, everyone from the school has made me feel very, very special. So although it's nearly 10 o'clock, I'm still buzzing on adrenaline from an amazing weekend. And all the support that the high school and the club have given me after my 300th game, and here's to many more.
Well, wasn't that brilliant, seeing Sonia Green, Sonic, being stopped at her school? Do you know what? I was taught by a rugby player at school, and I bet she has huge respect. I bet she has no problems with discipline. Kids just go, especially if they've seen her play. Well, from one Sarries legend in the Saracens women's team to another, we have as a very special guest one of my favourite players. It's Georgia Evans.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You wear big bows off the field as well.
Yeah, so I'm just about to go into training, so I've always got a bow on whenever I'm doing anything rugby related.
Is it like, because I've always thought it's quite a good psychological trick, because there's something quite sinister about being hit hard by someone wearing a big bow in their hair. Is it deliberate? Because that's
it's not. It's kind of just been like my little trademark now, so I've kind of stuck with it. And I mean, if it psychs the other team out, I'm all for it as well.
Anything to get that edge, eh?
Absolutely.
I think there's that thing though. It's like my daughter has bright red hair, and whenever she plays sport, I think it's great to have something that notices you, but if you're having a really bad game, do you not ever regret the bow in your hair? I've never seen you have a bad game, Georgia, but in case you have, then you go, oh, I'm having a shocker, and this bow everybody can see.
Thank you for one thing. And I mean, it's great because my father's colourblind, so he's got no idea where I am on the pitch. He says we all look the same. So at least for this, he can see me. But I have been on the wrong end of a whistle a few times in my penalty cut, and I'm like, God, this bow is really letting me down.
I did wonder if it was like the fluorescent boots, whether or not it was a bit of a referee magnet where they could pick them out. Yeah.
Last year was terrible. All they had to look for was pink.
Now, Georgia, you've been with the Wales squad. Where are you at the moment? Are you back with Sarries now?
No, so I'm currently sat in the car park. I've got training tonight with Wales.
Oh, right.
So I'm still in Welsh camp essentially. We're kind of trying to bubble as best we can. But whilst I'm here for the next month, I won't be able to be back with Sarries as much, which is disappointing, but I know the girls will do a job.
So did you play in there was a warm-up game, sort of training game against New Zealand. Did you play in that?
Yes, so Sunday we played against them up in London Irish ground we used, and yeah, it was great fun.
Oh, fabulous. And I actually think, I mean, there is the problem, you know, Welsh women's rugby at the moment, and everybody's sort of worrying about it, going, it needs the investment, all the rest. I think I was looking at your games, it is quite a good build-up, isn't it? You've got Japan, South Africa, who are not going to be as tough as Canada, the third game. Is that right? That they're sort of, so it's quite a good run-in that you sort of, you know, that you've got.
Yeah, we've got a good string of games to go off. Like you said, Japan to warm us up. We had a good hit out against New Zealand, which obviously playing the best, you're always going to learn a few tough lessons. But that was like, it's invaluable to us and to our learning and our processes. So we're really looking forward to Japan because that will be, you know, the first game we come together as a squad this autumn. South Africa will always be physical. We know that they're always going to be dominant and physical, but Canada is, you know, the one that we always want to go and do a job on. They're very similar to us. So, you know, it's a good run of games before we hit the Six Nations, and especially after the last year we've had, you know, we're really excited to get going.
We spoke to Amanda Bennett on the Huddle last season, and it was soon after the Six Nations, and we were sort of questioning her about the perceived lack of investment and the lack of structure around the women's game in Wales. A year on from that, are you noticing many changes? Has much changed in terms of camp and the way the pathway's laid out for the next few months?
Yeah, I think the changes are coming. Obviously, it's slower than we see England. I think because England is such on a high pedestal that everyone kind of goes, oh well, they're doing it, why can't we? But every union's in their own, have got their own different pathway that they've got to take. At the minute, camp, the infrastructure, we've got our coaching set up that we now know who are going to take us through to the World Cup, which is always really positive. You know, you want consistency, and the feeling in camp has been fantastic. It's been really positive, and we know that we've got a lot of work to do. I think the Alliance 15s has really, really helped us with that as individuals and as players. So bringing that back in is invaluable. And, you know, we now kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel as players, and we know that there's still loads of work to do on the field, you know, behind the scenes and stuff, but we trust in the process, and we know that change will come eventually. So yeah, we're sticking with it.
That's great, good.
Back to the games, actually, because is it a little bit like the men's team? I've got a theory that the Welsh men's team, in the Autumn Internationals, they underperform so that they play better in the Six Nations. So if it goes badly, it might be a tactic, is my theory.
That is exactly what we'll say.
Yeah, and then you're going to have a really good performance in the Six Nations. Well, that's fantastic. And Sarries are absolutely, you know, Saracens have been flying at the beginning of this season. What's been the... Because our Quins are being quite ordinary, aren't they? They've lost two, Harlequins women. Am I right?
Yeah, it's us and Bristol sitting top of the pile at the moment, isn't it?
What's happened? I thought Quins were like going to be super duper brilliant. Oh, is it just that everybody else has caught them up?
I think Quins were obviously coming off the back of that win at the end of last season. I think that they were always going to be put on a pedestal. So maybe the expectation was slightly higher. I'm not entirely sure what's gone on in the Quins camp. I know that the loss of, Leanne and Abby Ward is quite big for them. And having Abby go to Bristol has obviously bolstered the squad and really, really helped them. And you can see the differences in Bristol already. So what's going on behind closed doors at Quins, I'm not too sure. But to say that I'm excited to play them would be a bit of an understatement.
Yes. That's the duel, isn't it? That's the one where December
12th of December.
12th of December.
Looking
Yes.
forward
The big
to that
one.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely.
Well, it's brilliant to speak to you, Georgia. Thank you so much for coming on and for wearing the trademark bow in the hair. It's fantastic.
Of course.
I'm not going to say she's not got a bow in her hair. But take care and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Take
Cheers,
care.
guys.
Cheers.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.
She's so brilliant.
Absolutely.
I just think it's so bold. Whenever I played rugby, I always wanted to slightly disappear. And I love anyone that goes, no, I am here and I'm drawing
That's
attention to
it.
myself.
Look at me. Yeah.
Moving on to our next section of the show, it is moment of the week. This is my moment. I think am I always choosing the moments of the week? You don't ever get to.
I haven't been asked yet.
Okay.
But I haven't been to many games, have I?
I don't think you should. Yeah, that's the thing. You keep taking holidays in Greece. Now, that's the thing. You miss a game, you're in Greece. I miss a game, I'm in Crewe.
Well.
Anyway, so for me, it's got to be Max Malin's tights.
Yeah.
I'm pleased you love them because people have been talking about them.
Yeah.
I don't think you should feel bad at all.
No.
And actually, I think they're very sober. He's just worn black tights. I think people are going to get I want to see Mako in fishnets or something. That's what I want to see.
I was a little bit disappointed that Johnny May's tights didn't match his kit.
Yeah.
I think Max has sartorially got that spot on. I think go plain black, in with keeping. Whether he wears red ones for away games or not, I don't know. A little bit festive, might look like an elf. But we want to try. I mean, look at you can see there the extra protection as well. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? We let them wear gum shields, we let them wear head protection. We know for a fact that some of those burns can be quite nasty. So if it's open and available and within the world rugby laws, then yeah, do it.
Is there a difference in tackling somebody who's wearing tights and somebody who's wearing? Is it easier to maybe you could grab a tights, but they're just.
I think Ben Kay said in commentary that you won't see second rows wearing them because of the lifting difficulties. But I think he's probably misjudged that. I think there's some smart sportswear designer will probably work on the grip around the thigh or some sort of padding in a legging that would actually assist in that lifting. So who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I think it's the beginning of a revolution. And he was obviously being a bit bullied by the team because he came off and he indicated.
He did. I think he got some stick for that, didn't he? But if he scores 4 tries every week, he can wear what he likes.
Exactly. Well done, Max. I liked it. We got anybody wear it. Yeah. I come from an acting background, so I like wearing tights as well. Well, now it's time for our section called Ask a Saracen. This is where the players answer your questions. You can ask anything you want. Okay, keep it clean. But we collate questions from the fans and we ask each player on each episode to answer these questions. Our next player is going to be Tim Swinson. And you can send your questions in via social media at Saracens, #the Huddle, or email thehuddle@saracens.net. I didn't know he had an email.
We've got an email.
Sent me anything. Anyway, and you could have players answering your questions on the next episode. Again, Tim Swinson, didn't Mark McCall call him the best signing of the last 2 years?
He did, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, our Saracen who is answering questions this week is the fabulous Ben Earl. Let's see how Ben dealt with your questions.
Guys, it's Ben Earl here, and it's time for Ask the Saracens, so let's get into it. What player inspired me growing up? I think I'm pretty lucky that I've been at Saracens pretty much the whole of my life from when I was about 13, 14. So I had some unbelievable role models coming through. I think a big one for me was Jacques Berger. I never actually got the pleasure of playing with him, but I met him a few times, watched him train a few times when I was a bit younger, and he's just an amazing guy who put his body on the line for the love of his teammates. I think someone like him, everyone would say that he's probably one of their best teammates, so yeah, someone like him, I think. Next one is from Diver Dan, 505. What's the favourite moment of my career to date? So probably 2 big ones for me was my England debut away at Murrayfield in 2020 it was now, or was it 2019, whatever. Horrible day. I was on the bench and got about 15, 16 minutes, and yeah, an amazing day. Funny enough, my second one was actually probably quite recently, away at Bristol, the first game of the season with what would perceive to be a bit of a weaker side from us. We went away, did a great job against a very strong Bristol team, obviously a team close to my heart. So yeah, those 2 days for me will stand out long in the memory, I think. From Jonathan on Instagram, in my sausage sandwich, do I like brown or red sauce? I don't like brown sauce, full stop. So red sauce for me, always. Red sauce with everything, really. Chicken, burgers, whatever, sausage sandwich, always red sauce. Josh Andrews on Twitter, who's the toughest opponent I've played against? It's a tough one. I've played against some unbelievable players, but I'd have to say Pekele Yato from Clermont. We played them a couple of times, home and away, and I always thought he's an unbelievable athlete, an unbelievable player, a tough player. Yeah, someone who I've always thought you've got to be a bit wary of because he's going to do something special against you. And so yeah, he's certainly up there in what was a great Clermont team. From D Watson on Instagram, who has the best style at the club? I think a few people think they've got a really good style. Richard Barrington, for one. I don't know if you've seen Maro Itoje's Instagram recently, but I can safely say it's not him. I'd like to think I've got good style, but I constantly walk around in Birkenstock, so maybe not me. I mean, I think like Elliot Obatiembo is a very classy guy, dresses well, likes his fashion, likes his art, so yeah, I think I'll go for him. He's a cool dude. From Steve on Facebook, which teammate still clips you around the ear when you get out of order? God, where do I start? There's so many. I think the magic of this club is that a lot of people can be honest with each other. We've had some great times on and off the pitch, but some of the big serial teller-offers are Mako for me. Mako and Bill, they keep me in line. They, when I get a bit loose or when I lose my head a bit on the pitch, they're always the first to get me back on the straight and narrow. So yeah, I'll probably go with those two. Mako is about as moody as he looks, so that is probably him, to be fair. From Gareth Baxter on Twitter, who has the worst chat in the players' WhatsApp group? There's so many, but I think at the moment Nick Ezekwe has got the worst chat by a country mile. He thinks he's hilarious and no one else actually gets his banter, so yeah, I think I'll go for him. From Penny on Facebook, if I had to pick 3 members of your team to be stuck on an island with, who would they be and why? You got to think about this one carefully. So you got to have someone that's going to put you in a good mood, someone who's going to be resourceful, and maybe someone who's going to be quite spiritual about like the whole journey that we're on. So to put me in a good mood, I'm going to go with Nick Ezekwe again. I said he's got rubbish chat, but he does make me laugh, probably because his chat's so bad. But now I've known him for a long time, and he's obviously a close mate of mine. I'm going to say Max Malins for being useful. He's a clever guy. He's pretty street smart and like could probably work things out pretty quickly. And in terms of the spiritual side, I actually go with Billy. Billy's pretty spiritual, he's pretty grounded, has a good perspective on things. The only downside of him is that like if he comes with, I probably won't get a lot of food, or Max will miss out. So maybe Max would die off first, so maybe that would be the one. Stephen from Instagram, who's the guy that everyone tries to avoid sharing rooms with and why? I think there's a few good ones. Richard Barrington, because he's so messy. Nick Ezekwe, because he's so messy. I mean, Jamie George is apparently one of the worst snorers ever, which is a big bugbear of mine. So it's got to be one of those 3. I'm not going to pick any of them because I'll get a lot of heat. But I'll tell you who the best roommate is. The best roommate is Don Morris, by a mile. Watches whatever you want to watch. Doesn't snore. You don't even know he's in the room half the time. He's the absolute dream. Question from Alex Good. Why don't you brush your teeth? Right, let's get into this now. There's a horrible rumour going around that I don't brush my teeth, but I actually reckon I've got the best dental hygiene in the club. I mouthwash twice a day and brush my teeth twice a day, as you should, by the way, all the kids out there. I tell you who's got the worst hygiene, and I'll tell you a story now. We went on an away trip to Bath about 2 weeks ago, We got to about 10 minutes into the journey, just left the club on the coach. Obviously everyone's quite close together on the coach, you know, chatting away. And Richard Barrington just goes, "Oh my God, wait." And everyone thought it was like a proper nightmare, like, and he said, "I completely forgot to brush my teeth this morning." So let's stop this now. Let's go on to Richard Barrington. He has got the worst breath in the club. People try to avoid him in the mornings, can't get too close to him, so I'm gonna go with him. But I do actually brush my teeth. That is a horrible rumour. Elliot, from your Insta, we see you enjoying a round of golf. So what's your handicap and your favourite course to play? So I'm off about a 6 at the moment. I'm trying to get it down, but obviously with winter coming, it's going to be tough. I love my golf. My favourite course to play, I spent a week in Scotland in St Andrews over the summer. We were really blessed to have great weather. And if anyone's had the privilege of playing the old course, it's got to be the best ever, with the history, the prestige, just the whole experience in what is a beautiful place in the world. So that's going to be my favourite course. And if anyone fancies a round, let me know, because I'll be dead keen. And last but not least, from Alex on Facebook, does the respect game by scoring 4 tries gets cancelled out by wearing leggings? He thinks he already knows the answer. So I presume we're talking about Max here. So Max, obviously a very close mate of mine. You know, I lived with Max for 14 months in Bristol in a lockdown city, so we spent a lot of time together. He's a pretty basic guy. He's got some pretty basic needs. Now, when he walked out onto the pitch on Sunday, wearing leggings, I have to say even I was shocked. Look, it's not on. It's really not on, and I think people need to change. You can score as many tries as you want, but if you're wearing leggings, you're going to look rubbish doing it. I mean, we're not buying into the whole rugby player tough guy thing if we're wearing leggings on a 4G pitch where, you know, it's just part of the game. So I won't be doing it anytime soon. I think there's a general consensus from the boys at the club, they won't be doing it anytime soon. So some stern words with Max, I think, when he gets back, yeah, so definitely not. So we played Bath 2 weeks ago, and you could tell where Max had been, because every time he'd gone to the ground, there was like a big clump of Savlon on the grass. And he'd get one of the physios after every stoppage to come on and rub Savlon on his knees. I mean, if there was ever a question of who's the softest person on the team, he'd be it by 100%. A great player, one of my closest mates, but my goodness, he's soft.
He's like the kid in junior rugby who scored too many. They need to remove him at this point.
He's got white boots, must be fast.
Thanks so much for your questions, guys. I think Tim Swinson's up next, so that'll be very entertaining. And I'll be making sure I get my questions in as well.
Ben Earl there, answering your questions. Do you know a couple of things I took from that? First of all, I think with a few more years, his eyebrows could develop into Kelly Brown eyebrows. I think he's got great eyebrows, hasn't he?
There's potential there, isn't there? Us gentlemen of a certain age that get them trimmed at the same time, I think that lies in Ben's future, definitely.
Yeah, there's something strong there. But also, I like him, but I don't like the fact he doesn't like brown sauce. That does bother me. I know he's a kid. He might grow into it. Of course, brown sauce is better than red sauce.
I think we need to educate him to the darker side, literally.
But I also love the fact that Nick Ezekwe is a lovely bloke, because Nick Ezekwe looks like a lovely bloke.
You'd want him on your team, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's one of those players. He has the marrow thing. I looked up his height the other day because I was convinced he was about 6'9", and he's only, I mean, 6'7" is tall.
Only 6'7".
He just seems he's got a way of carrying.
It's a presence, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Don't forget to send in your questions for Tim Swinson next on our next episode. Remember, it's @Saracens, #The Huddle, or email thehuddle@saracens.net. Now, on to our next section, Commentators Notes. This is a section with Jack Zorab, okay? And it's the fans' opportunity to find out all the random facts about the players that they've ever wanted to know. Basically, what I do is I just ask Steve, because Steve knows every random fact about every player, because he sort of stalks them. But Jack's here with more information, so let's hear from him.
Gosh, really? Really? I just wouldn't have guessed. How interesting. Hello there. Macavanapola here, just telling me about his interest in the kids' TV show Paw Patrol, which got me thinking about other stranger facts about Saracens players, such as Emma Uren's connection to Madonna, Elliot Obutoyimbo's connection to the Pyramids, and Maro Itoje's dad's favourite song to sing along to in the stadium. Now, if topics such as that interest you, then Commentators Notes is the section in the Huddle for you. It's going to be a delve into some of the stranger, quirkier facts around Saracens players, and I'll be bringing them to you every week henceforth. So if facts which distract you from your day or even your week and make you think a little bit more and get you talking next to people in the stands are for you, then do pay attention to Commentators Notes starting next week. It's going to be a good one.
Fabulous stuff there from Jack Zora. Was anybody else? Were you looking at his other books?
I was, yeah. I did notice the Matt Dawson book that had just sort of slightly fallen over, which I thought was a metaphor.
But also, Encyclopedia of Gardening up top. I've got a theory Jack still lives with his parents.
I think
he does only look
that.
about 18. but anyway, brilliant stuff there. Now, it's obviously next weekend. Are you fearful of the Quins game at the Stoop?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I think it's an ideal opportunity to test ourselves as a newly promoted side at the home of the champions. Everybody's talked about the sort of style of rugby that Harlequins played towards the end of last year and this year, and I think we have equally as much excitement and as much energy in our back line as Quins will have. Missing players, obviously, will have an impact. For once, I think the tables are slightly turned. Marler has been so influential at Quins.
Marler's massive.
Smith, Donbrand, they are big losses. Marchant, they are very, very big losses in terms of the squad that you would expect to be playing on the day, as of course are Marrow and Owen.
Yeah.
But I do think the transition of our next phase of players is a little smoother at Saracens. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we owe them, especially.
Esterhazen's still playing though, isn't he? I don't like him.
Yes.
Well, I don't like him because he's good.
He's
a hell of an impact in the middle there. Yeah. Now, I was there. You were there. We were there for the last game at the Stoop.
Yes.
I don't go to as many away games. I go to a few. You go to a lot. I thought it was one of the least pleasant receptions Sarri's got at the Stoop.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be like that again, or do you think they'll...
It's interesting. On their message board, they've actually started a thread about the sort of reception that Saracens are getting at away grounds.
Yeah.
And there's quite a balanced opinion on there. Some saying, move on, it's done, they're back, let's just go with it. I don't think there's particularly any malice. There's some good-natured banter. Let's face it, we were pulling their leg about Bloodgate for at least 15 years after it happened. So it's highly likely there will be a few comments made, maybe a few choice selections on the music that's played before. I think they've done that before as well. But I'm not anticipating the same level of animosity.
See, the thing is, I was thinking about this the other day, that I tend to spend a lot of time being, it was never this bad in my day, we were never horrible. People were horrible. We booed other teams in the 80s. I used to play at London Welsh. You'd go and watch London Welsh play. London Welsh would be booed every...
Of course.
Playing other English, playing English clubs. Anyway, well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to hopefully be meeting up with Ugo Monya. So I really want to see him cry. So I'm hoping the team does a job next week. Well, before we go, we have coming up on the next show. That's what I am so fluent at this, aren't I? Coming up on the next show, we've got a special look at Saracens High School. We've got. Oh, is that so? Yeah, is that coming from Saracens? Are we doing a film on Saracens High School? Which is, I've been to Saracens High School. I didn't actually attend there. It was obviously after my time, but a wonderful school. We've got Ask a Saracen with Tim Swinson and Commentators Notes with Jack Zorav, which I think is going to be fantastic. But before we finish, and can I say before we finish, thank you so much, Steve, for being a voice of sense, for knowing so much stuff. You knew more than Gordon Banks, so it's kind of strange that you don't hold a high position at the club. But before we finish, it's time for another listography, this time with May Campbell and Sydney Gregson. See you next time.
See you next week.
Can't change it now.
Really clammy hands.
Three players that are most likely to add value in a team meeting.
I'm upside down.
Okay, do you want to rewrite it?
This is serious.
Integrity in this game.
If you just change your answer.
No, I rewrote it.
I'm sorry, I've just seen your top one. Are you actually joking?
Can't change it now. Can't change it.
No, but she's having a laugh.
Can't change it.
That's a joke. Poppy, Marley and Zoe, they're just
all very knowledgeable, and they always pipe up in meetings.
Yeah, I put, for the same reasons, myself, Zoe and Poppy, because we're all really knowledgeable.
That's absolute crap. Where have you got that from? You've got a false sense of ego there.
Well, you're obviously not in the forwards chat.
3 things that you'd say under the posts.
As in, like, what I would say under the post, or what someone would say under the post.
That's quite a hard one.
Yeah. I hate being left-handed with whiteboards. It's really actually difficult.
So I took take a breath because we're probably going to be out of breath. We'd probably be under the post due to our lack of discipline. And then, in defence, we ought to go hunting.
It's 0-0, girls. That's what people say, isn't it?
It's 0-0, girls.
Yeah, but no, don't you hate when people are like, you're losing, or even if you're winning loads, people are like, it's 0-0.
I don't think I've ever heard us say that.
It's just like a cliche reference. Something about the Sarries way and something about being more aggressive. So we could probably
go hunting, aggression.
We'll give each other that.
5 things a player might say to a referee.
Ooh, I didn't know this.
Come on. What would you say to a ref?
Okay.
Do you know how rude I can be? I actually look like a child writing this for me. So, something about being offside. Did you see that ref, or are you blind ref, something like that? It wasn't straight. I thought, you hooker.
Yeah.
High tackle, and how long left?
I said, have you got to be kidding me? Which, similar.
Yeah.
Are you blind?
No. Nice.
No way, sir, or miss. I'm sorry, and I wouldn't say this about my own throw, but probably about the opposition's, not straight.
Clearly a false sense of ego there. High tackle.
Oh.
Yes! Or was it be on May's Twitter later?
That
3.
Was, yeah, 3.
3?
Yeah. So we've got like 6 now, I think.
Yeah.
It's all right. Feel okay with our performance. We could have done better.
Yeah.
Upon reflection.